Tuesday. Thank you. Tuesday, November 16th, Nantucket Affordable Housing Trust meeting to order, and I'm going to read the script. Members of the public wishing to participate in the meeting must use their full name for Zoom access. If full names are not used, people will not be allowed to participate in the discussion. The town reserves the right to remove any member of the public from the meeting who doesn't use a full name or acts inappropriately. As a preliminary matter, this is Brooke Moore, Vice Chair of the Affordable Housing Trust. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Dave Iverson?
Here.
Penny Dye?
Here.
Rima Sherry?
Here.
Don Holgate?
Here.
Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tucker Holland?
Here.
Allison Mitchell?
Here.
And Ken Beaugrand?
Here.
Thanks, Ken. Anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. Laura Silver?
Here.
Billy Cassidy?
Here.
Okay. Introduction to remote meeting. Good afternoon. This open meeting of the Nantucket Affordable Housing Trust is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Nantucket Affordable Housing Trust is convening by video conference via the Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating via video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other people may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided to this body are available at the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of the members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. After members have spoken, I will afford public comment to those members of the public who have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. All right, check that off the list. And now turning to the agenda. The first item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Do I have a motion? So I heard Penny and Dave. Penny moved, Dave seconded. All those in favor, Dave?
Aye.
Penny?
Aye.
Rima?
Aye.
Dawn? Dawn? I vote yes.
Sorry, aye.
Okay, thanks, Dawn. Okay, the next thing is approval of the minutes for June 25th, July 6th, July 20th, and October 19th. Tucker.
So Allie's just going to take us through a few edits that were submitted by Penny and perhaps others.
Okay, go ahead, Allie.
Thank you. So at our last meeting, Rima had submitted just one quick change, changing the word on July 6th. Item 5, changing the word certified to certification. So I'm going to make that change unless someone is opposed to that. And then Penny sent along just a few, just kind of grammatical or just kind of a few changes here and there, adding a space.
You don't have to go into the details. I was just trying to prove I read them.
Okay, perfect. Yes, Penny read them and she did great. So just a few little things here and there, a space, no actual change of any content, just a few typos or anything, things like that. So I will make those edits
Okay.
before posting, if that works for everyone.
Okay, great. So if there aren't any other remarks, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, second.
Second,
Second from Penny. So motion by Dave, second by Penny. By roll call, Dave?
Aye.
Penny?
aye.
Rima?
Aye.
Dawn?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Okay, this next item on the agenda is public comment for items not otherwise on our agenda today. Are there any comments from the public? If there are, please raise your hand physically, electronically, so I know you're looking to speak. Anne, did you unmute Anne for a reason? Okay. So seeing none, I want to note that Ann Cuspa from Housing Nantucket has joined the meeting. Thanks, Ann, as an expected speaker. Okay, and so moving from that, the next item is closing cost assistance program applications. I understand we don't have any actual applications, but Tucker had something he wanted to talk about with regard to the program. So
Just briefly, Madam Chair, a little further down in the agenda, trust members might have noticed that there is in a proposed meeting for the first week of December on Thursday at 12:30. And if that ends up being a time where we can convene, there will be a closing cost application. You all may remember back in the July-August timeframe, a application came forward in partial form from Hafsa Lewis regarding one of the 175 AMI units at Richmond. And we weren't able to fully take it up at the time because the contract had not been signed yet by Richmond. Now a number of things have unfolded, and it looks like she will be able to close on this property probably sometime in the second half of December. So she is furnishing the required documents, and we'd like to take it up on that date again, if that ends up working as a convenient meeting time.
okay, thanks. Any questions for Tucker on that, or we will discuss that meeting time when we get to it on lower on the agenda? Okay, seeing none. And to you or Billy for an update on 31 Fairgrounds.
Hello, Ann Cuspa from Housing Nantucket. Things have been moving along we're still in the permitting phase. So we had gotten through all of the HDC approvals, and we were grateful for that. Then there were some American with Disability Act requirements that needed to get fulfilled, which we were in the process of doing over the course of this month. The AAB board was reviewing our application and did approve it with some, we adopted a couple of suggestions from our local board. So Housing Nantucket, as the ongoing managers, adopted those suggestions from the local board, and we were happy to do that. And then went back to the state level, was approved up there. And now over the past, say, 2 weeks, being reviewed. So now that we have the designs cemented, went up to the engineers. The engineers have to do their thing up there, stamp them, then coming back to Nantucket, and we're on track for the December 15th pulling of all building permits for the 22 units, which is a major objective for all of us because they are contributing towards our safe harbor. They're contributing a lot, so we don't want to lose our place with that. So things are on track, and hard to be patient, but there's, we're going to be pulling these permits before December 15th.
That's great news. Thank you, Anne. That's probably the most critical deadline of interest to this board. But I am curious when the community might start seeing action on the site, because that's what makes people feel like there's progress.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Let-
first we- oh,
Let me pick up there, Ann.
Billy?
And yes, this is Billy, Madam Chair, specific to that, Art Gasparo from Nantucket Engineering and Survey is going to actually be in there tomorrow, staking the rear property line that will allow for the brush cutting to begin early next week, and dirt will begin to move early next week, as well as brush cutting the lines and so on and so forth, in anticipation of foundation holes. We have we have some housekeeping regarding the sewer line that I am in conversation with David Gray about right now, but that's a bigger picture item, and that's that.
That's fabulous. Great. Any questions from members of the board? Comments? Any questions or comments from members of the public? Okay, hearing and seeing none. Thanks for the update, guys, very much. We will move on to Richmond Wildflower Acceleration. Do we have anyone here, Tucker? I don't see.
No, I don't see Dave Armanetti on here. Maybe we want to hold this and circle back if he joins in a few.
Okay, let's do that. So we'll come back to that if Dave joins. Okay, the next item on the agenda is 135 and 137 Orange Street. Tucker, I'm going to let you carry the ball on this one.
Yeah, just wanted to have a brief discussion with the board today to do kind of a straw poll, I guess, on moving that property.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped transfer fee.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Jumped right over it. Well, we'll take them out of order. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, Orange Street should be relatively brief discussion, I would think, but I just wanted to take a straw poll of the group. We've talked a little about this over the course of the last few months in terms of moving forward with that site, or let's say keeping it in reserve for a future safe harbor need. In terms of safe harbor, as we just were talking about, Housing Nantucket and Mr. Cassidy are planning on pulling the building permits for the 22 units at 31 Fairgrounds Road prior to December 15th, which is important in maintaining those units on our SHI list and toward our certification. Dave Armanetti, when he is here, can talk more about the wildflower acceleration and the pulling of those building permits on or around December 15th in order that we can request an amended certification to our current safe harbor period, which would extend it from June of this next year to June of 2023. So those pieces are sort of in place to take us to the summer of 2023. As the board also knows, we are working on determining whether we would provide the necessary funding gap, fill that gap with regard to 6 Fairgrounds Road or Tacoma Green. And if we can come to terms with the developer on that, the closing would take place for 6 Fairgrounds in May of next year. And at that juncture, we would automatically have a new 2-year period of safe harbor, which would, in theory, take us to May of 2024. So I guess the point is we have several things in the pipeline on the near term or near horizon that will cover our safe harbor goal. Meanwhile, as we all know, housing is still in short supply and will be throughout that whole period. And so the question is, do we want to begin the process of advancing a project at 135, 137 Orange Street, even though we may not ultimately get any safe harbor benefit from it, but it would provide, let's say, 24 units of much needed housing? Or alternatively, do we want to keep that parcel in reserve for meeting a future safe harbor need?
Thanks, Tucker. Penny?
Yeah, and I have a more general question addressed through you to Tucker, which is how soon will the census results impact how many units we need annually?
It's a great question. And I checked in with DHCD since the last trust meeting, and they indicated that we will likely have our new 10% figure in the winter or spring coming up here. So not for somewhere between 4 and 6 months from now.
Okay, and in your opinion, is it likely to change less than 10%?
It's, in my opinion, if you look at the census figures around occupied homes between 2010 and 2020, which is not a direct line to what the state considers to be year-round residences, but it's a metric that the census keeps track of. The number of occupied homes went up dramatically between those two data points. And so it would kind of stand to reason that our requirement may go up. It may be sort of a perfect storm of the census in 2020 being extended from normally an April end date to an October end date that year, and the pandemic and many more people actually residing on the island like during the period in which the census was taken. So I can't say with certainty how it will translate, but it wouldn't surprise me if our requirement went up.
In light of all that, my opinion is we should be somewhat cautious about using up SHI list capacity too quickly.
Okay. Thanks, Penny. Dave?
Through you, Madam Chair, to Tucker, how does that, if we are in a 2-year safe harbor period and those numbers come up, we're still safe for those 2 years, correct?
Yeah, when we're in a period of certification, that certification holds to the end of the certification that was granted.
So conceivably, we could have a 1.5 years to muddle through the increased number if we have to.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other members of the board want to? Rima?
I know it's not as big of a project, but could we consider doing something with the Amelia Drive parcel? Just, something small to, like, yes, we're doing something, because it might be easier and quicker, and, we could save Orange Street for potential SHI list increase. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay, thanks, Rima. Good idea. Dawn?
Just thinking, I mean, if we were going to use Orange Street for something other than SHI, would we want to consider doing condos that would be ownership? Because
so I don't think, Dawn, we're not talking about not doing SHI units. We're talking about not doing SHI units timed to keep us doing SHI units that are not timed for safe harbor, but would be count toward the total 10%. Does that make sense?
yes.
Yeah.
Just
So
still trying to think of all the other problems besides the SHI list.
Yeah,
Different
absolutely.
levels.
Yep. It's a good thought for sure. Thank you.
Brooke, explain just briefly again how the impact is so much greater if you have the rentals?
Right. So when you do rentals, you can do less subsidy because you can price them at different price points that include unit levels above 80% AMI. As long as 25% of the units in a development are at 80% or below, the entire rental project counts toward this subsidized housing inventory or toward safe harbor. So that's the advantage of rentals, and to do 24 ownership units to count on the shy list at 80% AMI, it would require very substantial and deep subsidies to bring the cost down to that level of affordability, or whatever ones weren't at 80% would not count toward the shy count nor safe harbor. So that's the advantage of focusing on rentals until we reach our 10%. And I want to remind everybody too that this effort to create a community land trust is designed for the purpose of homeownership opportunities as a separate effort from what we have in the pipeline. So additive to, hopefully. Anybody else? Howard, I saw your hand go up and come down. If that was inadvertent to bring it back down, let me know. Otherwise, I mean, I think for me in this debate I have in my head is I hear a lot, including yesterday from a community member, that it's hard for people to understand what we're doing when it doesn't involve people actually getting roofs over their heads. And so to me, it's balancing keeping continued support of the community by doing things that are actually housing people, that keeps the momentum going and the support in the community, versus helping them understand why these lots might sit undeveloped for what amounts to 3 or 4 years, if we're strictly developing them for a safe harbor timeline. So that's the debate in my head. I don't have the answer. But I definitely agree with Penny that perhaps waiting until we know what our amended number is at least gives us more information to suss out whatever plans we should make. So, Anne?
Just a comment. I know there was some delay in getting 18 Tacoma, the main unit, onto the shy list or recognized by the shy list. So wondering if that actually made it to the shy list or not. We did everything that was supposed to have been done and submit all the paperwork to DHCD, but the last time I checked, it was not included. So that's an extra unit laying out there.
Okay, thanks, Anne. Tucker, do you know anything?
I'm just pulling up our official list. And it looks like there's only one still on there. So we can follow up with DHCD.
Okay, great. Okay, seeing Tucker, does that give you a sense of where we're at as a board?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense in terms of waiting till we know the new number. I think it's an interesting thought that Dawn introduced about maybe it's a mix of condo and rental, who knows? But I think being able to think in creative ways is a good idea. So it sounds like too, though, with the point Rima brought up about Amelia Drive, that is something that we may want to start to advance. And I see Ken waving his hands.
Sorry, I needed to unmute. Just with respect to Amelia Drive, that's not going to be the easiest thing to move forward right now, because in fact, the town is trying to figure out how to create the roadway at Amelia Drive and tie into Waite Drive. And so with respect to where we are, what we're going to be doing and how we're going to be able to do it at the time when the town is going through the construction work and the decision relative to the actual location of the roadway on across from Amelia over to Waite Drive are issues that still need to be resolved. So not saying that it can't be done, but it is not a slam dunk, and it's not a lay down, as it were. So
okay. Rima?
Yeah, if we could just keep an eye on that, Ken, through you, Brooke, keep an eye on that process. And once they have figured out the road layout, maybe then we could start talking.
Okay, I see Howard's hand up. Howard, I'm going to have you hold, and assuming Tucker's going to respond.
Ken makes a good point. The other thing I wanted to mention or remind the trust of is the Amelia Drive property was purchased with CPC funds. So that needs to be all at 100% of AMI or less.
Okay, thanks. And Howard, Mr. Dickler?
Thanks, Brooke. I just wondered the possibility of mixing condo units and rentals was raised. Does that make any difference in whether the condo units could count on the SHI list if it was part of a mixed development? That was my only question.
Only if they're priced at 80% AMI or below.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Penny?
Yeah, just be a condo is a type of a property. It has nothing to do with the occupancy. So we should just be clear on that.
Right. I think if I understand, we're referring to it as an ownership opportunity as opposed to a rental opportunity. Yeah. In this conversation. Thanks for the clarification, Penny. Okay, so if there are no other hands or comments or additions to this conversation, I'm going to move us to the transfer fee strategy funding and ask Tucker and Laura to take it away in whatever.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. So the board will recall we initially took this up a couple of weeks ago, where there's quite a bit of effort around passing statewide enabling legislation. And I'll let Laura Silber, my counterpart on the Vineyard working on this, kind of speak in more detail to the state efforts. But in short, there now are a number of communities that have jumped in with us in wanting a transfer fee on real estate sales in support exclusively of housing in their communities. And that would include places like Boston, Somerville, Concord, Truro, Chatham, et cetera. And we're gaining quite a bit of momentum. And we're at the point where it makes sense to engage firms that can assist with both strategy and communications as well as direct lobbying of legislators. And so following the last discussion we had on this, I had reached out to the Community Foundation for Nantucket to see if they may be interested in playing a role alongside the Affordable Housing Trust as far as Nantucket goes, and in conjunction with our partners on the Vineyard to be able to engage all of these services. And the way that things have unfolded, the opportunity before us is the Vineyard is prepared to underwrite the direct lobbying portion of the work. And while we haven't made a final selection on the firm that we would go with, we've interviewed 3 top-level firms. I think it's fair to say we're leaning in a certain direction, and the commitment that the Vineyard would be making is to cover approximately $60,000 plus expenses toward this effort. And for Nantucket's part, the idea would be that we would be covering the communications and strategy portion. So the Vineyard covering 100% of the direct lobbying, we would be covering the communications and strategy portion, and that amounts to roughly $70,000 plus expenses. The proposal I'd like to discuss today is that the trust sponsor half of the expense of the communications and strategy work, or $35,000 in expenses. And then monies that would be raised through the Community Foundation Fund would sponsor the other 50% of the communications and strategy work. And there, I understand that there are a number of folks who are interested in making a contribution to this fund. The Community Foundation accepts donations basically from anybody who would like to make one in support of this work. I was, it was meaningful last week. Someone, a citizen, reached out following, I think, reading the story in the Inquirer and Mirror last week and said, me and my wife would like to make a contribution toward making this happen. So I'll let Laura talk a little bit about the overall effort and the work that the Vineyard's doing, but the intent here today would be, I'd like for the trust to vote favorably to financially support half of the communications and strategy work, subject to the Vineyard doing what they are committed to do, and the funds being raised through the Community Foundation Fund to cover the other half. And Laura?
Great, thank you, Tucker. So my group is the Coalition to Create the Martha's Vineyard Housing Bank. We're operating under the financial sponsorship of the Martha's Vineyard Community Foundation. We're working with the 6 towns on Martha's Vineyard Commission, Dukes County Commission, and the Wampanoag Tribe of Gayhead-Aquina to investigate, design, and pursue a regional housing bank for the island, similar to the 2005 effort that the islands launched together on the first pass for a transfer fee. So I don't work for a municipality. I work for this independent group that's sponsored by the Community Foundation, but we do have formal support for the transfer fee bills from 5 of the 6 select boards, 5 of the 6 affordable housing trusts, planning boards, and also the community preservation committees, along with Martha's Vineyard Commission and Dukes County Commission and the Tribal Council. So, so with that directive from the towns and our assessment of this situation at state level, I'm 100% in agreement, and so is my team on the Vineyard, that we need professional political strategy support in order to get this across the finish line. There's a huge amount of momentum behind this, but this is a lift because it is a new fee. It does set a precedent in the state, and the working together as a statewide coalition is the best way to get this across the finish line for both the Vineyard and Nantucket on the independent efforts. Tucker, I'm not sure how much you want me to get into, but the Vineyard's prepared to sign, as soon as you guys are ready. We're ready to go forward with this. Our Community Foundation, we've investigated this with our legal counsel since we started a year ago, and we have the funds set aside for the lobbying portion. But the lobbying portion alone is not going to be enough at state level because of how complex this is, and we do need that communications and strategy portion. So partnership with Nantucket would be absolutely fantastic.
Thank you, Laura. Any question, Tucker, any follow-up from you, or shall I open it to the board?
Just one other comment, so Laura mentioned the formal relationship her organization has with each of the municipalities here. And so I think the Vineyard views the trust as the formal association with our political leaders, because at some point in this whole process, there, as you might expect, may need to be some horse trading. So it's important that the party, at least one of the parties that's involved from the Nantucket side, is representative of our political leaders and will be consulting them as we need to make decisions, perhaps real time, as the session winds down.
Okay, thanks. Okay, any questions or comments from the board first? I see Penny. Yep.
Yeah. Hey, through you, Brooke, to Tucker. I thought that the 35,000 outside of the Affordable Housing Trust was already raised or committed.
I mean, I understand that, yes, that there are folks who are looking to make that contribution. And I mean, when it's in the community foundation, we know that it's there. But yet my understanding is there are folks there who want to support it.
Dave?
And is that the number 35 that we need to raise for our portion?
Plus a bit of expenses.
We're putting in 35 and then 35 from the community foundation, correct?
Correct, with the proviso of there might be 5,000 more type of thing in expenses. Yeah.
And the Vineyard would I'm sorry, Madam Chair, the Vineyard would
Yes, go ahead,
contribute the Vineyard would contribute to the ancillary expenses that come up. We know there's going to be some on the communication side.
Along with your direct lobbying.
Along with our direct lobbying, yes.
Yep.
Penny?
Yeah, just a quick follow-up. So 2 weeks ago, when we had this discussion, we were talking about 150,000. And now we're talking about 130. Is the difference is the expenses the difference?
Yeah, the 150 was the order of magnitude, just, a little cushion there with regard to expenses.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments from the board, or is anyone prepared to make a motion? Rima?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we move forward with the trust donating or paying for 35,000 for the communications and strategy portion, with the community foundation coming up with the rest of that. Sorry, something just fell over in my room. And with a contingent upon the Vineyard doing the direct lobbying at the amount of 70,000 plus expenses approximately.
Okay, and does your motion include expenses on our side, just to be clear?
Yes, and expenses.
In additive to expenses. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, a second from Dave. Any comments before we go to a vote from the board? Okay, I'll take a roll call vote. Dave Iverson?
Aye.
Rima Sherry?
Aye.
Penny Dye?
Aye.
Don Holgate?
Aye.
And then the chair votes aye. Okay, so that's unanimous. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, so that done. All right, we will move on to upcoming meetings. Tucker, you want to?
Just the one item there, would folks be available to have a relatively short meeting on that Thursday?
What happened to the holiday party?
Well, Allie, how is that coming?
Penny is already there. She is ready.
Okay, let's I love that, Penny. Let's start with December 2nd at 12:30. Availability, I am available. Okay, Dave?
I'm
Yeah.
available. I already have it in my calendar for some reason, or maybe it's just a whole spot.
Okay, Don?
Yes.
Okay, great. Looks like we'll have a quorum for that time. So if you want to send out a Zoom invite for that, great. And then our next regular meeting, December 14th at 12:30. Okay, and just to note, that special meeting is a Thursday, not a Tuesday. So just to clarify, it's not that normal first Tuesday that we keep in our calendars. So I just want to be clear on that. Okay, moving on to board comments. Any board members have anything that they would like to share? Okay, seeing none. Penny, would you like to roll us along to executive session?
I would like to make a motion that we adjourn the regular meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust for the purpose of going into executive session to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property where an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body, not to return to the regular meeting.
Okay, Tucker?
There's something I wanted to because Dave Arminetti did not join us. I wanted to circle
Oh, right, sorry.
before we leave.
Yep.
Don't make me say that again.
I will hold that, I'll hold that motion for
Thank you.
Tucker's thankfully reminder about that. So Tucker, can you reach out to Dave and get back to us by email?
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest. I'd like the trust to sort of authorize or vote, however you want to do it, but more formally sending them a note, requesting an update on what is happening there. I mean, because they've represented for some time that this is going to happen, and while I don't doubt that, the calendar year is, there's light at the end of the tunnel here. So in terms of getting to December 31st, and in order to amend our certification, we really have to have had them pull the building permits for all 24 units in Wildflower, let's just say by December 15th, to give us time to make the request to DHCD, both to have them added to our SHI list, as well as to amend the certification of our HPP, our newly minted HPP. So, if with the board's support or endorsement, I'd like to send a kind of a formal letter. Perhaps it could come from the vice chair, and I would write it. Yeah.
Okay. So how about a motion to that effect, just to do it officially?
I could try. Just make a motion to have Tucker send a letter to Dave Arminetti confirming, or I guess just confirming that a building permit will be pulled by December 15th.
Okay. Second?
A second.
And by roll call, Dave,
Aye.
Rima,
Aye.
Penny,
Aye.
Dawn,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Okay, so Tucker, and if you'd like that to go out under my signature, that's fine. I think that's fine too. So, okay, great. All right, so I am going to rewind the tape to Penny's well-worded motion for adjournment. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Dave. Okay, all those in favor by roll call vote. Dave?
Aye.
Rima?
Aye.
Penny?
Aye.
Dawn?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So does everyone have the link?
Yeah, I
Okay.
had to dig for it.
All right, see you in the other room momentarily.